Hello my friends, Nigel Dix here from Huntington Beach, California. I'm in my garage as usual. I am looking at fixing this dispenser here with an error code 21, and I picked it up from location, from a very dusty location. I ended up replacing the dispenser because I couldn't fix it on site, which is pretty common, and when you're working on site it's sometimes hard to see the obvious. Today we're going to go through 4 possible reasons this dispenser is not working. One, obviously the obvious, is the cash dispenser mainboard on the side. If it's not that, then that's an easy swap it out and see if it works. Number 2, very often just cleaning these dispensers will do the job. They do get pretty dirty, especially if they've been in storage or in a very dusty store like this one's from the mountains. And so we're going to go through that as well. That's going to be the most common thing, is the dirt in the dispenser. Number 3, could it be a sensor? Now that's pretty rare. I've only seen that once or twice, and that's usually because I damaged it cleaning it or damaged it doing something stupid. Number 4, it could be a rat bitten through a wire, or maybe you pulled a wire out somehow when you moved the dispenser. So we're going to go through all those scenarios, and we're going to follow along. This is, by the way, my first time actually working on the dispenser and fixing it myself. After 24 years, I've never had to do that. But I'm noticing right now, even when I clean the dispensers pretty good, at least I thought I was doing a good job, until you take it apart and look inside and go, oh my God, that is disgusting. So it might be worth your while to get in there, clean it up and get a good job done. It took me over probably nearly 2 hours to get this done, realistically, because I was doing it for the first time. For you though, it's going to take you about 45 minutes, maybe a little more. But you can do it slowly and step by step, and you can follow my video along. If you could, please like and share my video, and if you want to call me, my email address is there as well. I'm there to help you. Maybe you're looking for advice, maybe you're looking for someone to help you fix a machine. Perhaps you're looking for that processor you've been looking for, a good one, and I can recommend one of those to you as well. Or maybe you're looking to work with me for some other reason. Alright guys, I appreciate your time. Again, my name is Nigel Dix, coming here from Huntington Beach, and let's go ahead and take a look. Follow me guys. Okay, so the kind of machine we're looking at right now is a Hyosung 2700 with a removable cassette. I've got an error 4002100. Alright, so let's open the top, and we're going to turn the power off. I can now safely unplug this power plug. Now the dispenser is now safely able to remove it, so we're going to put that on the desk. Alright, so in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through how to figure out what the problem is with this dispenser. It's coming up with an error code 21, and I've been told that it's probably the dirty sensors inside, so we're going to take it apart, check it out, and see what's actually wrong. Now I've already changed the main board on the side. That is not the problem. Occasionally a 21 will mean this is dead. It could mean a dead sensor, but it also could mean a broken wire. So we're going to go through each of those and check it out. So let's take this out of the way, and let me show you where the error normally comes from. The error code 21 is generally going to be this sensor in here. And let me turn it around. So the sensor will actually be inside of this area here. So we're going to be taking off this here, this spring-loaded plate. We turn it over, and you can see on the bottom here, make sure you can see that, on the bottom here you can actually see this is the one part of the wiring. We'll be taking all this out, and I'll show you how to take out the plate below it, and we're going to show you how to exchange all the wiring if it's broken wire. Alright guys, let's go ahead and take a look at it. If you have some kind of hand brush or a small soft brush, I found a paintbrush. I'm going to find this will probably do the job a little better than a duster will without damaging it. But you can see, even though I'm using a paintbrush, the dust is still having a hard time to come off. So the can of air will not work. And these bristles will get right into every little crevice. Make sure it's a nice soft paintbrush. Get right in there. Again, you sometimes can remove this plate right here on the top and the bottom one here. It will give you a lot more access. Open the reject bin. So again, just kind of, you can see what I'm doing there, getting right in there. So a large paintbrush is probably the best way to go. Gotta admit, I never thought about that before, but it's doing a pretty good job. It's getting right inside where you could never get your hands. Oh, that's nice. Just turn it upside down. It's getting to places that I never thought I'd be able to get to with a rag. Good. Again, lift this up very gently here. Get that paintbrush right in there. I'm going to start taking a paintbrush with me now on all my jobs because this makes it a lot easier. It makes it look new actually. Alright, we're going to put this cash dispenser back in and we're going to let's see if we got it. Now, after you've done that, then you can use a can of air just to throw out anything loose that you've left there. There we go, clean as a whistle. Hopefully that is now going to clean it. If not, we'll take it back out and replace the sensor. Make sure this button is turned off. If you don't, you're going to go boom. Plug these back in. Okay, we're good. Now we're going to turn the machine back on. Okay, so the machine has just come back on and the problem has not been solved. It still says 21 on the board. Cash dispenser error. Now again, I know it's not the dispenser board because I already changed it. Alright, we're going to unplug it all and put it on the desk again. So now we're going to figure out if these are just loose. Sometimes these little sensors come out, pop out and get loose. So let's have a look. I'm trying to pry that out very, very gently and very slowly. So I very gently just tapped on top, tapped on bottom and pulled it out gently like this. Occasionally these will need to be reseated. So I'm just trying to wiggle it out. There you go. I don't want to pull the wires out if I'm trying to take this off. It's just clamped onto it. It's just a little pressure clamp. And I'm going to try and get that out. I'm pulling this one up, this one here, with my fingers, and then I'm just going to... There you go. So I just removed the sensor here very gently. It is possible that this is dead, one of these. I'm hoping that's not the case, but if it is, then I'll have to change them. So again, I'm going to try and take this other one out. There we go. Be very gentle with those. These sensors are very, very small. You can see the light shining on the back like a cat's eye. That's because that's the other side of it, and that's the one I've got to clean. It's possible I may have to take this apart even further, but I'm hoping that's not the case. Alright, so I think that's good. So now I'm going to put these back in, blow it out, make sure there's no dust in there. Again, it could be possible that this sensor is dead, and that's why the error. Now it is rare that these sensors die, by the way, so don't look for that very often. They're not going to be dead very often. So just push that back in. You heard it click into place. It seems to be pretty firm. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's in there pretty good. So it turns out I found a wire a moment ago right here. This is my problem right here. One small blue wire has been broken. And it's been chewed right through by a rat, and you can see their end right there. So now I'm going to see what I can do about that. So this is the wire right here, and so we're going to trace the wire in now. Okay, so I squeezed these two here and just pulled this little cap out. I'm now going to trace this blue one here. And it looks like I'm going to have to take this apart. So we're going to need a small pair of clippers. Be very careful not to clip any good wires. I'm going to snip this right off. Okay, so I just took that right off there. And now we're going to have to get inside of there. So we're going to have to take off this piece right here to get inside it. As you can see, they are spring-loaded here, look. So whenever you're taking something apart like this, just take a quick picture how it looks before you take it apart. So we are going to take out this screw here, this screw right here. Put that screw out of the way, don't lose it. Now remember, the belts are also on this, so be careful. it would seem that you cannot just take that off because the whole frame is holding it in. You've got to take this one off as well, and then it spring loads off. So again, I'm going to have to take off this one as well. So this one here, I can lift this, look. That one comes off. Just put it up there out of the way. Don't take it off completely. And now I can take this off. See there? It's now coming off, look. So this came off. And now it came off, look. You can see now I've got this piece off. Be careful to make sure that bar doesn't move. Slide this off of this way. Okay, next we've got to take out this one here, which is this piece. And it looks like we've got to take out this one right here. And now that piece is starting to wiggle around, look. So that's what we have to take out first. And we can lift that straight out. Actually, there's one more screw. I'll show you that. There's one more screw right here. One more screw right here, look. So that's the big one. Now this piece here just comes right out. And you can see this is the broken wire right here. Doesn't look too hard to exchange. Getting those wires out is a pain. Now these wires here go to both sensors. They've both got to be, not the sensor, but the wires for both have got to be taken out. Again, to take these wires out, just kind of just wiggle it both sides a little bit. There you go, like that. Just work it both ways until it pops out. Don't try and do it all at once from one end. And that is the wire out. You can either order one of these or take it off an old CDU, cash dispenser. While I've got this out, it's pretty dirty still, so I'm just going to get a good cleaning as well. It was actually still quite dirty, even though I thought I'd done a good job of it. Alright, so I've just taken off this off an old dispenser, and what I want to show you is how dirty this really is. And if you can see that, if I can put a mark in it, this is so dirty. I've never actually taken one of these off completely, and I'm surprised how filthy it is inside. Look how filthy that is. Now I'm just going to put this whole plate on the other one. I'm not going to try and detach it all and get these wires back in. I'll do that on the new one when I get the parts. So one of the reasons you might want to keep old dispensers laying around for parts like this on these rare occasions is lucky I have this other dispenser. Look how nice and clean that is now. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this on the other one. Alright, so now comes the fun part. While I was gone there, I interrupted the video. I've been trying to figure out how to put this back together. And funny enough, it's not as hard as it looks, but it is a lot more difficult than I thought. So first off, we've got to put this piece back on first. On one side, you've got little screws, but on the other side, the holes do not have any thread. And I'll show you what that means in a moment. So you know this goes to your right-hand side. That'll go through here. This is the side going to have actually two screws screw into the plastic. Just don't do them too tight. So let's get that on here. Pull the wire through. That just sits there like that, so you can see how it just slots right in. I'll show you this side first. Now you can see all these screws right here. There's two different kinds. These right here, these ones, they go into the plastic. They go into the metal. So these have got the bigger head. Put those aside. So we're now on the side of the main board, and we're going to put in these first. So you can see I'm going to put this one here and this one here, right here. Make sure the wire's not being caught. These screw into the plastic. Put it in loose first. Put this one on this side as well. Now once you get this one in, push it into this plastic. Don't over tighten it, don't thread it, else you'll be out of luck. It's still loose on the other side. Remember I showed you there was no thread on the other side, so these actually go into here. They go into this metal here, but they do not go thread into the plastic. They're just kind of sitting through the metal and holding it there. That's all they're doing. Now there's no washer on these, remember? So don't get them mixed up. That's very important. The washer wouldn't fit anyway because it would be too big. Okay, so again, it's only threading into the metal and just going all the way through to hold it. Not too tight, but tight enough. So as you can see, this now is going to go into here, but remember we haven't got the springs on yet. Now I took a picture before and I had to remind myself of how these go back on. Okay, so that goes on here, like that. To do this, I figured out, you have to make sure this spring is all the way back and upside down, like this, and just resting there. You cannot do it otherwise. You put those springs back on after. So again, this one goes here with the longest piece to the outside. And they're going to go on like this. Now, the fun part is we haven't put this through the belts yet. So if I'd have put it back on and forgot about the belts, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? So here's the fun part. Put the belts around it. This is the part I had the most fun with. Figuring out how to keep the belts on and put this back on at the same time. You just take those springs off, right? And without pulling the wire off. You've got to line up all these belts all the way through the system. I can lift this up and show you. So you've got to lift these belts up and line them up on here. All the way through to make them straight, like that, before you put it back together. You can see that okay, maybe let it go back out. So everything has to line up, including on here, because if you don't, you won't be able to get them on at all. It's not as difficult as it looked. I made it difficult doing it the first time I did it. And then I'm going to make sure this wire doesn't get caught up. I try and feed in one side before I do the other. Let me get these springs out of the way. Again, the springs, the long part goes on the outside. And you're just going to turn those upside down, like this. They're just going to sit up like that. Just like that, look. You want to make sure they're out the way. Don't break a wire. Again, make sure all these belts are completely lined up. You cannot get them back on after the fact. And then you just kind of pull apart this and you squeeze it back into place. Something's not right because one thing I did forget to put on was this one. Now remember, I took off this before, right here. It doesn't need to come off first. It does, however, have to go back on, and I forgot about that. And that just kind of just snaps in here. Now that goes in there, and I'm going to screw that back in. Pull that wire down. Again, make sure this spring is just kind of sitting up like that, out the way. I'll show you why in a moment. Again, back to the fun part. These all have to line up. I'm reiterating that because you're going to know why in a moment. So much fun to do this, my goodness. All for a broken wire. Okay, everything is looking like it's lined up. So now I've got to now squeeze this back into those holes here. Again, make sure this is out the way like that. Just kind of set up. And now you've got to force this apart. Make sure these stay on. Before I was trying to put it in with the springs first, and you can't do that. And all I'm doing is pushing it down very gradually, very slowly. And wiggling it into place. There's one just snapped in. And the other one just snapped in. Now this is loose. So I just showed you how to put this on. Make sure the springs are up like this. And I'll show you how to get those back on. Because this, see how this is loose? This spring here is going to what make it spring. So as long as these are on the outside, now you've got to push these down, push them underneath these screws. Take the wires out of the way first, do not trap the wires. Alright, do not trap these wires under the spring. So make sure you push them out of the way. Push that spring and put that underneath there like that. That is now back into shape. Okay, so because I didn't put the screws back in this bar yet, I better do that right now, hadn't I? The last thing you want is extra screws, and the last thing also you want is to lose screws. Put it in here, nice and tight. Not too tight, but just enough. Put this back on this side. We're now, okay, just test it. Put it right back, just test it out. Looks good. Pull the belts, make sure they're all perfect. They are, they just work beautifully. The last thing we want to do now is to feed these wires through here and plug them in. Okay, so they are marked, and if you look at them it'll say CS1 and CS1TR1F2 and CS1D1F2. So make sure you do match those up, because the colours on the wires do not match. So you do not want to make that mistake. There's a little groove on one side, so match up with the other one. That's now in. We're now good to go ahead and test it. Alright, we're all plugged in. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Alright, everything just came back on. The board does say 00 on the side. It looks like it's spun beautifully. In fact, there was no more clicking noise when I was doing it this time, so I put it back together right. So there is one more thing we've got to do once we get it back together, and that's line up the dispenser with the door so that it doesn't reject bills. If you don't line up the dispenser correctly, it will reject. When you slide the dispenser in, make sure these wires are out of the way. You might want to get a zip tie and just kind of zip them. Don't tighten the screws up too tight, just enough to hold it so you can still move the dispenser. Now, once that is in, pull it all the way forward. You can see it will go backwards and forwards, look. Pull it all the way forwards, close it very gently, holding it here so it doesn't spring back. Again, pull the dispenser all the way forward. Make sure the dispenser is in all the way. Go ahead and close the door gently. Push it a couple of times. What I just did was push the door even with this. However, I still need to push the dispenser back a touch so that it's away from the door. Evenly, in about 1/8 of an inch. Because this is going to catch it as well anyway. But I don't want it slamming against the door solid. It will reject. So just put just back a little bit. Pull it out gently. And tighten the screws. Do not let it slam forward because it will just push it all out of joint and you won't have it in the right position. Tighten them nicely. Now you can pull it out and tighten them all the way up. There is a switch under here. If you pull it out, just gently, the machine will think the door is open. Once the machine comes back on, we can go ahead and go into diagnostic and do a test dispense. Now my machine is set to factory setting, and so the error code on the machine is telling me I need to change the master password. Operator password after you put your code in. Factory setting are all 5s. Go into diagnostic, push yes. This does take a minute or two, so be patient. So we're just going to pull this out like this. On the screen, once it goes into diagnostic mode, you're going to push cash dispenser. It just threw a bill into the reject bin. You push dispenser again. On the screen, test count 1, normal, it said successful. You can now go ahead and cancel out. And it says, do you want to exit? Yes. Again, it does take a moment or two to get back out. Make sure you take the money out of the cash dispenser reject bin. I put $6 in mine to test it because I'm in my garage. Well, my friends, that is how you fix a dispenser. That was my first time actually taking a dispenser apart, and so we did it together. Well, my name's Nigel Dix, and I'm the ATM technician of 20-some years now. I hope that helps you out. Please like and share my video if you can. Please call me anytime. You have my cell phone number, you have my email address. I'm here to help you and keep you out of trouble, to save you money. Anyway guys, I appreciate your time. I will talk to you soon. Later.